So nobody owes me not hurt feelings, but my feelings are a little hurt by this. I don't know why. I guess because I don't think it's deserved. But anyway, here you go. So one of our members over on the Discord posted this. There's a podcast, OGSOG. Don't know what it stands for, but it's a gaming podcast, it seems like. But Andrea Rene, who some of you guys know, a lot of you guys know, I got to know her more on Kind of Funny than anywhere else. She has her own podcast with a few of her friends and colleagues. I forget what it's called. Whatever, you can look it up. What the fuck is that podcast? It's like, I don't remember. But anyway, and so she's on this podcast, I assume as a guest. They're talking about a number of things, and I guess this is a clip from them talking about Twisted Metal, the trailer, okay? So, yeah, I don't know her. I've never met her, but it still bothered me. I think it bothers me because I just don't agree with it, and I don't like someone who, you know, she's a presenter, journalist, but she's, you know, she presents as, and I think most people think of her as, and she's given no one any reason not to, as somebody who, you know, dots her I's and crosses her T's. And, you know, so when she says this about me that you'll hear in a minute, yeah, I was like, wait a minute. When have I ever earned that reputation? So here you go. This is the fine folks over at OGSOG chatting about the Twisted Metal trailer and as it relates specifically to me. Here we go.
And I was suddenly like, damn, yeah, this works. I would be excited for this.
I saw that, yeah. Yeah.
So how different would it be if like David Jaffe was like a part, like an integral part of it? Do you think that people's perceptions from the get-go would be like, okay, that guy's part of it, so it's got to be at least, you know, 80% what I'm looking for?
It's tough because maybe you guys might not be aware that David Jaffe is now like a toxic asset,
right?
No,
like, isn't he?
I'm a toxic asset? Okay, let's keep going.
Like he's he's like excommunicated from Sony in general.
He's like.
Well, she didn't answer that, which made me happy because I'm like, no one's ever said I'm excommunicated. I still have great relationships with people over there. But anyway, here we go.
He has some very problematic YouTube videos. He actually included me in one of his videos.
Holy man, what happened?
No, look at all these responses. Look at all these responses. First off, I would love to know what my problematic YouTube videos are. If you're going to say that, Andrea Rene, maybe you could, you know, if you're going to basically insult my character, maybe you could suggest a link or somewhere where maybe she did. Let me check down here. A link where people could go in the show notes to go, here is why we think Jaffe is problematic. But I don't really see that. So I take issue with that you're going to, What's Good Games is what her show is called with her. I think this lady might be on it too. You know, maybe you could let people know what you think is because I certainly don't consider myself toxic. And I certainly, you know, a lot of people, and I can't speak for these people, but there's a general consensus that video game journalists tend to lean left. Usually when people on the left say someone's toxic, they assume that that person is a hardcore right-wing guy. I'm more progressive probably than any of these people on this show, in my opinion. I mean, I haven't debated them or discussed things with them, but anybody who knows me knows that's not what they mean. So I don't know what she's talking about, but let's keep going. She says that I did a video on her, and I'm going to show you that video in just a second.
Excommunicated from Sony in general.
He's like.
Look at her face. She really hates me. She's so disgusted by me. I want to just, that should be like my alarm. It's just a big TV screen with that. I fucking hate you.
That David Jaffe is now like a toxic asset,
right?
No,
like, isn't he like he's like excommunicated from Sony in general?
Look at that. Look at that.
Like he has some very problematic YouTube videos.
Like
he
what?
Actually included me in one of his videos.
Holy man, what happened?
Holy fuck! Look at him. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, it's a story for another time.
Oh, how about this time? How about now?
Like, he is not a mouthpiece that Sony is going to want to put out in front of this. And so
Interesting.
That probably was not even like an option.
You don't.
I mean, I've certainly spoken with the Twisted Metal people, but yeah, I don't give a fuck. That if the story had been, we feel Jaffe has said some things on his channel that may have kind of pushed Sony away from allowing him to sort of, or bringing him or considering him as someone who could come out and promote the show amongst gamers, I would say, yeah, okay, that's probably true. That's probably true. but that's not how it comes across. She didn't say that. She says, I have toxic videos. And then she implied that she was in a toxic video. The only video that Andrea Rene is in that I can find is I made this video. I was really high. Shut up. And it was just, I mean, it says oopsies. It was being dramatic. Nothing I said in here I would walk back. If I would, I wouldn't have posted it, right? But here's the video where I talk about Andrea at the end. And I'm telling a story that she tweeted about. You'll see. I'm going to jump around. So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but I'll put a link to it in my video so you can see what I assume she's talking about.
And I think this was Andrea. She said she was at a bar for work in the middle of the afternoon, eating lunch and doing work with her laptop. And she has a ring on. And some guy clearly had approached her and she was like, I'm giving off no signals. I'm at the hotel bar. I've got my laptop out. I've got my wedding ring clearly on. It's not like it was in her purse. And it's not like we're at singles night and it's Tuesday and it's 8:30 and the music is going and everybody's picking each other up. This is a hotel bar for, that a lot of professionals stay at. Now, does that mean that the guy was creepy for even seeing if she was interested? No, of course not. But if you're a guy and you can't read those signs of going, she's not here. I mean, again, why would you not just be in your room? I get it. I don't think it's like, the fucking, super offensive. But I think if you are a guy and you're incapable of being able to look at that situation and not understand she's not looking for anything with you, because the only thing you're approaching her for, because the only thing you know about her is that you find her physically attractive. And so if she was looking for that, she would be expressing that, but she wasn't.
Right? So there's one more follow-up I'll get to, but it's like, I'm pretty much agreeing with her. Somebody in the chat's like, well, if you don't want anybody to bother you, just don't leave the room. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. You can live in a bubble. But short of acknowledging what that person was saying, I'm like, yeah, she's right. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you're the super creepiest person. And maybe somewhere in there, I maybe felt the way Andrea Rene wrote about this person. And again, she didn't say, there was nothing in her tweet as I recall, and it's hard to find it again because, Twitter is. There's nothing in her tweet as I recall that was like, dude, he hit on me and he wouldn't leave me alone. And then he bought me all these drinks. Like, none of that was in her story. It was literally what I'm telling you, as I recall anyway. That she shared publicly, which was, I'm at the bar, I got my ring on, I'm working, and I think somebody hit on her. And that was it. So I'm not forgiving him. I'm saying that unless there's details she didn't share, he's not the creepiest guy in the world. But, at the same time, men should know better. People in general should know better in 2023. So I'm pretty much she didn't need me to defend her, but I'm defending that point of view, and I'm hearing what she's saying, and I'm pretty much agreeing with her. So then I go on to talk about some other stuff. If you want to watch, you can link. But then I get back to Andrea here at the end.
Talk to her about that. Oh, why? The only reason you're doing it about it. Right. She's at the bar, which is a not pickup bar. It is a bar in the hotel.
So I'm basically reiterating.
Right? It doesn't matter why, but if you're trying to read signals, she's at a bar like, to work, and they're serving lunch, and she's eating lunch at the bar. Even if she was not. But how hard is this?
And I was actually, what am I from Canada? I was actually in that chat pushing back on some of the people in the chat that were like, dude, how are you going to meet anybody? You should pick people up that way. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. And I was just sort of expressing, well, times have changed, and there are very clear places and signals that people give off when they're in the headspace and they want to go out and be picked up and meet people like that for a one-night stand or possible romance or whatever. And that's what the chat was about. And I was pretty much saying, yeah, if you can't read the signals Andrea was giving off. But that is the only time, as far as I know. Now, again, I'm not, I make mistakes. Maybe she's talking about something I don't even remember. And in that sense, I'll wait and see if maybe she's like, no, Jaffe, not that she doesn't owe me an explanation. I mean, I didn't ask her if I could talk about her, and she doesn't owe me anything, and I don't know her. I'm just a little disappointed and hurt, I guess, because, anybody who follows me, I mean, basically, we're in and again, it is what it is. I'm not changing. But we're in a situation now where it does seem amongst a large percentage of people online that are geeky and gamery, that I consider myself one of those people, that unless you paint yourself in such a black and white way, there is no nuanced thought, there are no degrees of perception about certain topics. You're either with us 100% on everything, and if you even give any kind of credence to the fact that maybe someone else who I don't agree with 95%, maybe 5%, there's no nuanced thought with a lot of these people. And I don't like that there are people who paint me like that, especially people who should know better. And again, I will apologize, not that she needs it, not that she's asking for it, not that she wants anything to do with me. I'm not suggesting that she needs to engage with me. I'd love it, but she doesn't need to. But if she's like, dude, that's not even what I'm talking about. Remember that you said, I'm fucking vulgar, but I'm certainly not, misogynist or anything. But if she's like, dude, you said that, my vagina was so big, they could build a McDonald's in it, and it could be one of those McDonald's that has a playground, right? I mean, what I would never say, I don't know why I would ever say that about Andrea Rene, but, I am very prone to saying stuff like that. That's not toxic. That's just stupid and juvenile and vulgar. So maybe I did say, but I really don't think I've ever talked about Andrea except that moment. So anyway, it is what it is. Again, nobody owes me a life where I'm not offended or my feelings don't get hurt, but they also, should be prepared. If you're going to talk about me, that's fine. You don't need my permission, but I get to do the same. So that's my thoughts on it. I appreciate, I think it was, who put that up on our Discord? Who brought this to my attention? Whoever it was, I want to say it was Sal. Thank you so much for posting it. It was very interesting. I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. And I'm like, whatever, it is what it is. And Andrea, if you are watching, again, we don't need to bury a hatchet. We don't need to come to any terms. But if you are interested in the conversation, I always like to talk to people, especially people with different views. I'd love to know what it is that you think I did that was toxic and cruel and mean, and have you on the show. So the invitation's always open for you. And meanwhile, everybody watching this, be well. Andrea and all your cohorts there on the OGSOG, be well. And I will link their podcast below as well, so you can give it a watch if you are interested. All right. See you later. Bye.